Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Lorraine Dersch, who's our guest, and thank you for joining me. I do really appreciate it a lot. So just to bring everyone back up to speed, our purpose in this series is to speak with people, with parishioners, about how they have come to know our Lord. Okay? A little bit about how their faith life developed, how that that knowledge of God has brought them to a point where they can feel God's love and a desire to share that love with others. And then the result of all of that, of knowing God and loving God, is that we serve God. We go out and we serve others so that we can proclaim His glory in that way. So Lorraine, let me ask you a question first. How long have you been a parishioner here at St. Peter and
Oh,
Paul?
geez. I guess 47 years.
47 years.
Yes.
Was this church here 47 years ago?
No,
Okay.
no. We were in the other building, and
Mhm.
I think I don't remember ever going anywhere other than that building.
Okay. So your family grew up in this church.
Yes, my children. Yes, I did. Everybody.
So now tell me, how did your faith life develop? Tell me, how did you come to your faith?
Okay. Well, I was raised Catholic,
Mhm.
and I lived in Gloucester City, and I was related to most of the town, and most of us were Catholic. And we went to church every week. We would go to confession every Saturday. We would walk to confession. And I went to Catholic grammar school. And then when I went to high school, I went to Gloucester High. And I really didn't know any Protestant people, because everybody I was related to in town was Catholic. And so I met some wonderful friends that were Protestant, and I was like, wow. And they knew the Bible. And I didn't know the Bible at all when I was growing up. And then I met my husband when I was in high school, and he was Methodist at the time. He eventually did convert to Catholicism. And he went to Sunday school, and he was very knowledgeable in the Bible, and I was fascinated by that. So then I got married and started, having children, and got involved in a Bible study with a bunch of Protestant women, and I just I couldn't get over how much the Bible had to do with the Mass, and the stories that I heard about the Bible, the stories that we read and things that we studied. And from there, I just grew. I started teaching CCD, which also was, we had the Bible in there. And then we did the youth group here in the parish for almost 10 years, and very much incorporated the Bible. Some of my kids went to a thing called Young Life, and they were very Bible oriented.
Mhm.
And I just got to know the Bible and love the Bible, and went from there.
It's interesting because what you mentioned is the fact that your faith life has progressed, right? I mean,
Oh,
as
definitely.
you started to read the Bible, come to know the Bible,
Yes.
come to understand better, there's a progression in your faith. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the interesting things, because we see, unfortunately, sometimes with young people, it stops at a certain stage and
Yeah.
they just don't progress. And the importance of what you just said is that we need to continue to
I
progress
think
and learn our
the
faith.
Bible is just, I love reading it,
Mhm.
and I try to read it every single day.
Mhm.
The readings that, I have the booklets for. So, yeah, it really has, and I love where I am in my faith right now.
Could you identify maybe any time in your life that you actually felt God's love?
Oh gosh, yeah, a lot of times I felt it. Even when I was a child, because we were so poor,
Mhm.
people that would help us, in the town, and you always felt like God was looking after you. We always said God protects the children, and I think I've always felt His love. More so as I got older and things happened, with your kids and your teenagers, but I think I've always felt His love. And since my husband passed away, I really depend on that, and I need that. Yeah, but So, but I can't think of one specific time when I felt it. I feel it a lot. I feel it a lot.
And I know that you share God's love with other people because I know you're very active. Tell me about how you feel God's call to serve others.
Well, ever since I was little, I was the second of 11 children. And so in that family, I was a servant. But I feel like I know God gets people to be different things, and he definitely made me a servant because I like doing it. It makes me happy, it brings me joy. I know, Jesus wants us to help other people, and I love doing that. No matter what it is, it can have to do with people. I'm a nurse, so that always made me want to take care of people. But it's not only that, anything that people need, I just feel like I'm a servant, and I always have been.
I know that service comes out a lot in what we see, because I know that you're very active here in the parish. Tell us about some of the things you do in the parish now.
But I do communion at the nursing home or the rehab. I did that long time before that hit, before the pandemic hit. I try to do things with the kids. Rose is always in need of help, and sometimes I really don't want to do it, but she's desperate, so I'll do it. And it's really, God moves you. God moves you, I like sharing him with especially kids. And my own grandson, who is a bugger. But I just feel like I'm doing him one-on-one because he has a lot of issues. And I love it. We talk about the Bible, and so anything that Rose has that I can help with, the communion, the confirmation, getting the kids ready for the sacraments, I like it. I did the summer CCD, which was extremely difficult this year because there were so many kids.
Wow.
And we had very little help. But it just reinforces your faith. When you share your faith, it comes back to you. It definitely does.
Would you have any advice for people who are trying to find how they can be serving in the community? Maybe there's people who they're in their faith, they want to learn more, they're trying to learn more, they are learning more, they feel they're being called. What advice might you give?
Well, I think you need to pray. I think you need to have a strong prayer life, because, and just like the Gospels, the past weeks, it's like you have to spend time in prayer so that God can speak to you, so that you know what he wants you to do, and you will be moved to do something that maybe you wouldn't do before. But I think the biggest things is that you have to have a strong prayer life. And like I said, I love the Bible. I love reading the Bible every morning. But even the devotionals, the things that we've gotten from church, I love them. I love the Advent and the holy moments, and they just, and then you just have some quiet time, and God might move you to jump into something. Yeah.
So I guess advice is be open. Pray, be open to the workings of the Holy Spirit in your life. Listen to God, and don't be afraid. Right? Don't be afraid to do what God's calling you to do.
And this morning with the readings, one of the things I was reading was about spiritual blindness, and it's like whatever kind of blindness your ears can be closed, your eyes can be closed. You have to be open. You have to be open, and because he wants everybody. If we all had a part, it would be, what a wonderful world we would live in,
Are there any times in your life that you actually felt God speaking to you?
I feel like I heard God speak to me once when my father was in the hospital and he was going to be discharged, and I was starting a brand new job. And on the way to meet with the girl that was going to train me, I just felt God calling me to go to the hospital where my mother was. And I went there. I called the girl and said, I can't come. I went, and my dad was coming home. He had cancer, so he was sick, and he died. I went there, and he died while I was there, and my mother was out in the hall, and I felt like God wanted me to be there for my siblings, because, they all wanted to know what happened. And I often share that with young kids, because it's like you have to be open. You have to be open. And for my husband and I, he worked for IBM for 25 years, and he was leaving his job, and he was accepted he was getting a job at Lockheed Martin. But he didn't know what to tell them, because IBM called him and said, we're going to change your job and we want you to stay. And he did not know what to do. And, people were telling him, just make up a story, tell him this, So it was funny, because we were going to morning mass, and we got into church, and he said, I know what I'm doing. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I'm going to tell the truth. I was like, what? He said, God spoke to me and said, tell the truth. And he did, and 5 years later, they hired him back. So it was a great, that's a story I like to share with kids. It's like God will speak to you, but you have to be open, and you have to pray.
Lorraine, what you've shared with us today is outstanding. And I mean that sincerely. It is absolutely outstanding. I think you have a great message for people. I think you have a great message that we can share with youth and adults alike. One of the important things that we always try to understand in our lives is that we do need to become close to God. We do need to be able to listen. We need to pray. We need to understand that we're in a faith journey. We're going to continue to progress if we dig in and do the things that we should do. We'll feel God's love. We'll feel God speaking to us. And we will know that we're being called to give our gifts and talents in a way that helps to glorify Him. So again, I want to thank you very, very much. This has been wonderful.
Good.
We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.